So this is my vlog, Conspiracy Broadcasting Network. I think this is vlog 100. Um, a lot still going on out there outside of my residence. I've been going to the gym, and this morning when I went, they didn't have a bunch of white SUVs, but whenever I left the gym. It's like whatever's convenient for them, basically, because I went early in the morning around 4 o'clock. So, of course, no one's going to be there. But whatever is convenient for them. So, of course, when I left around 5:15 or so, everybody, more people were out and about in the city. So, obviously, the frequency of them to and the ability of them to orchestrate, this campaign of basically terrorism. I mean, that's the term that I use, and that's what I've been going under for the past 10 years, covertly, and then overtly, or excuse me, other way around, um, covertly, before that, was going on in my teenage years and whatnot. And then I've had so many years of this overt terrorism that I'm just tired of being told that I'm somebody that I'm not. I'm tired of the smear campaigns and the McCarthy tactics. I'm just tired of it, and I don't feel like anybody deserves the best of me. I just don't deserve. I don't feel like I need to do my best just to go out into EMS and then be harassed, and the fact that I've got to go and do 911 if I chose to in the future, and then have to always work with the police officers and stuff. I don't want to be around that type of people, and I don't want to be around that type of culture. And this is not just about here in this particular state. This is me making a decision based off of states, not one state, not two state, not three state, not four state. We're talking multiple states, okay? Having to deal with this type of subversion and terrorism everywhere I go. This morning when I went to the gym, they're still in the gym. These people, so what these people are doing is they're using a technology to weaponize the proxemics and to weaponize where it is that you're walking, where it is you're going. And it's always some type of ambush everywhere you go. So they already know ahead of time where you're going, when you'll leave, and they just sit there and they'll lay things out like trash. This is so common. They're taking these pieces of trash and they're putting it out in front of your line of sight. And if you're at the gym, they'll take these little pieces of fucking toilet paper or little pieces of hand towel, the brown ones, and they'll rip a piece off and they'll leave it around the machines or wherever it is that you're going to frequent. And I noticed that because I go earlier in the morning, typically I would go later in the morning, like a traditional, like maybe 8 or 9. Okay. And then maybe somewhere in the afternoon. What these people are doing is because there's already been people there, they already know where you're going to go and what type of workout you're going to do. And so they'll start leaving things around those areas that you're going to frequent. Now that I go at the very brink of opening, there's not people there. So the things that are clean, so they clean it all up. It's already cleaned up, basically. So this is how I know that they're using this whole weapon. It's basically a weapon, and it's war. I'm literally in a war. If you look at the definition of war, and then if you look at the definition of terrorism, okay, terrorism is using threats, violence, or coercion in order to, make a political or ideological outcome. And everywhere I've gone, occupationally, and every time I'm out and about in the public, it's always about this smearing campaign. It's always about this witness harassment. It's always about always stalking you, always manipulating you, always pressing you and isolating you, altering the way we perceive you on Facebook, altering the way we like or interact with you on your social feeds, always altering the way we interact with you on your communications, right? always altering all of these things basically are being altered at all times. And if they're not being altered, then what they're doing is they're coming in and they're using your most intimate connections like relationships and dating sites, and they're taking those women and they're abusing you. They've spent years targeting your manhood, okay, with STD, and trying to figure out ways to abuse you and basically destroy your life. And that's what this is about. This is a campaign of terrorism, okay? And when it comes to war, this is war because we have thousands of people who are equipped with a technology which is electronics of some form, shape, or fashion, okay, using it against a non combatant, okay, which means I don't have the same technology or the equivalent. And what I have is a life where I walk around anywhere in the world and I'm being targeted with this technology, okay, whether it be GPS or whatever have you. The simple fact is there is a giant population of people, okay, who are using technology as a weapon. And so even in the gym, when I go to the gym, I'm in there naturally by myself, originally around 4, in the morning. But as the morning progresses into the next hour, you have people coming in. And the second they come in, they're coming in with blue shoes on or a blue shirt, and they're using these color spectrums to abuse you. So we talked about it before about how they'll mock you. Okay, so if you're wearing a specific color attire or if you like something, they're taking your likes, and then they're going to just sit there and make sure that it's not just in your like visual field. It goes beyond that. What they do is they try to startle you, and they were doing this all morning this morning. So what they'll do is they'll wait for you to turn around, like if they know that you're going to be on rotation, like on a circuit training or something like that. What these people are doing is they're dressing a certain way, which already has an input of abuse or an input of like kind of like irritation, right? And then what they're doing is whenever you go to turn, they'll make sure that when you turn, physically turn, that they're there or that they use the same color or the same maneuver as you're turning to go to the next place. Also, they like to use the blind spots, is what I call it. So what they'll do is they'll take a person and they'll hide behind an object. It could be anything. It could be a weight. It could be a wall corner. It could be anything. So what they'll do is they'll wait for you to approach, and then they'll go and then they'll start coming out of that object. The same thing is whenever this started, there was a bunch of people. Well, I'd go to the park just to relax, and there'd be people who would stage behind trees, right? And then as you come up to there, they start moving out away from the tree, and they use this same maneuver. And what it is whatever we can do in order to disturb you, whatever we can do to antagonize you, whatever we can do to get you stressed out, and they're using a technology. It's terrorism, right? And I'm just fed up with it. I'm tired of going to these ambulance services, and you're at every single ambulance service. You're told that you're somebody that you're not. You're set up by nurses over paperwork at all times, saying that they have it in there and it's not in there. Doing things that they say that is allowed when it's not. Questioning you all the time. And then, just like I have on my videos, you have these managers and an HR antagonizing you, telling you that you're sleeping on them during lecture when you're not. You're just looking down reading. They're telling you that you have an attitude when it's when I question whether or not that they had communication, and that I'm embarrassed because I spent and did my due diligence 2 weeks prior my experience with you here in training to get all of this done. And now you're telling me I'm holding up the class. Like, there's so many things that I could just go over that it's just beyond beyond what is necessary in order to have a job in EMS. It's so astronomically and infinitesimally inappropriate. And it's not just about the professionalism, because this is an attack on my personal life. That's what this is. And this is an attack that goes on both spectrums, both the professional aspect and both in the personal aspect. And it's just like, if I'm going to be terrorized, literally, and this is war, why am I going to even try to continue to bring my best to around a bunch of thugs? There's no purpose in it. There's no purpose in trying to take my knowledge and my hard work and dedication, okay, and then try to implement that in a world where there is no morals and there is no ethics. Okay, and that was proven. I have documentation self-authenticating that that's a true statement. All of my statements are true. Is why would I bring that into a cohort of terrorists, okay, and then expect something positive out of it? Okay, it's the same thing. Like I said, with the Star of Life, right? You have 6 principles of the Star of Life, okay? And I want you to know that one of those principles, right, is to not only to let someone know, right, that we're moving along with the chain of survival, right? And not only are we to take calls, right, and alert someone, but when we're on scene, we are to transfer, right? And that's what we do. And then it goes on, and we make sure that we transfer care and stuff like that. So there's 6 principles. Under no principle do I have to arrive on scene and have to deal with a firefighter where I know, he knows, we all know, the patient's going to the hospital. It's inappropriate for us to sit there and wait for someone who is not part of that transfer of care to the hospital to delay the scene. Okay? It's inappropriate. Okay? You're here to facilitate transfer of the patient at this point. When the patient is going to the hospital, we've all heard them, not to sit there and challenge me and hold me up. And this is one example, okay? One out of dozens of examples, okay? I'm not going to go to places like regional paramedic, okay, and be questioned about morals and ethics on how to address patient interactions. I'm not going to be told that I'm being somebody that I'm not, okay? And I have it on record. I have it, the voice, I have it on record, okay? What I said, who I said it to, and all of these things. I'm not going to deal with it. I'm not dealing with it. And then these white SUVs and all these other vehicles, red trucks, and everything you can imagine going on, and what I've been saying in the previous videos is still going on. These fuckers are still terrorizing you after you have to go through this arrest because these motherfuckers want to continue to abuse you. It's terrorism. That has nothing to do with being professional. This is war and it's terrorism by every definition of both war and both terrorism. Okay, I'm not going to be told by some medic, okay, to try to bamboozle me as to why you don't have to restrain a patient with seatbelts, okay, and use an excuse that, oh, well, I have to do patient care. Him and I together is 45 years. You think you're going to bamboozle me and get me to believe that I don't know how to do something like that in the back of the ambulance regarding patient restraint? You're going to use that excuse. You think that I don't know that occasionally you have to come unbuckled? You think what I'm talking about is you. This is the stuff that I'm dealing with. I'm not going to get on scene and deal with this stuff with other people always subverting and always trying to tackle me psychologically. That's what this is. And it's every job. There's always semantics. I'm getting invitations from ambulance services that have semantics about my fishing and using my hobbies, okay, tackling and trying to destroy my hobbies, okay, psychologically, and anchoring, okay, and briding, okay. I'm not dealing with it. And then when I go there, you have to literally listen to these people gaslight you and discuss these things with you in third person about your future, and you're just not working. You're just literally entering into this arena of terrorism. You're just allowing these people to come near you, and you're having these conversations with terrorists, literally terrorists, okay? And then when you go and report it, no one does anything about it. And then they're forcing you to jump job to job. And why would you put yourself through something like that and then realize that when you go to the next job, it's the same thing. Doesn't matter how right you are, doesn't matter how moral or ethical you are, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how professional you are. Even in physician assistant school, it's the same thing. The same thing that you were saying in physician assistant school. Why am I leaving? Why am I explaining myself? Why am I doing these things? Why are people saying this? You have no clue. And it doesn't fit the bill. And then the whole time you're going through this career and you're being told that you're somebody that you're not, and you're just being fucked with at all times. You're just being terrorized. Your phone is always hacked. You're trying to work and make calls to hospitals. They're over there taking off the data, okay, when you're trying to make calls. It goes from 4 bars to 0 bars. And it's always when you're trying to make communications to somebody. And then when you get there, they're trying to punk you and say, well, how come you didn't call us? And the whole time they're just running this fucking game, this mind game of terrorism, nonstop at all times. Every job you go to regarding people, and they're taking people and weaponizing. They're weaponizing interactions, they're weaponizing conversations, they're weaponizing everything. It's a fucking weapon. You can't just go out clearly and just do what you want to do or have a job or do what you need. You have to be isolated at all times. At all times, you have to be isolated. Because even when you're shadowing at a level 1, they're doing the same things that's in the CIA field manual of sabotage. The same thing, verbatim in that manual, they're doing it. Okay? It's like, why would I put myself through the mental anguish anymore and try to entertain a bunch of thugs? That's what it is. Every time I sign up and I sign a contract, I'm literally signing a contract to entertain a bunch of fucking thugs who are terrorizing me. And the second you get in there, it doesn't matter if you bring in the biggest smile and you're the best leader and you're reading all the books on how to be a leader and what to say and how to act and what to do and how to write and all this other stuff, all the things that you spent hours doing. They're just going to get in there and they're going to wait for you to come in and invite you in. And then when you're doing it all, they're just going to say that, oh, well, we don't like you. You're not a fit. Oh, you're doing this, even though you're not. And that's it. End of discussion. And then when you go to an attorney, no attorney wants to hire or retain, right? Be retained. It's like, why? Why? Why would I even try to go? And the thing about it that hurts me the most is that there's a shortage in EMS. There's a shortage in EMS. And every time I go into EMS, every time I go to these jobs, it's an issue. It's always an issue with people. Every supervisor, it's an issue. Everybody is always an issue at all times, a problem. You're lied about your persona. I'll take a perfect example, another perfect example. This was at Life Care Medical Transport in Virginia, okay? I was doing a late night shift, okay? And we were running IFT, and I was working with a female named Laura Bachrock. Okay, she was a sergeant or something like that, and she was sick. She was sick, coughing, runny nose, and stuff like that. So I said, "All right, I know you're sick. I'm just going to sit in the back." And this was after we had just finished the call. And she goes, "No, you can't do that. You need to sit up here." I said, "No, Laura, you're sick. I'm going to sit back here." And she went and she sat there. This is the type of trash that I have to deal with in a professional setting. And it doesn't matter if I talk to HR. It doesn't matter if I talk to another supervisor. They don't do anything. Okay, they don't do anything. And this is my arrest, and the videos that I'm going to post here in the future are going to show you just the exact type of terrorism that the police, okay, witness, visually know is going on, okay, and then don't do anything about it. I'm going to post all of that. I'm going to post it all in synchrony from these vehicles following me to the gym, following me out, and then having everything on scene. And the officers want to sit there in the color of law, conspiracy in the color of law, and then act like nothing is happening. And then I have this asshole saying on camera, okay, after I have left and my camera was knocked off of my waist and tumbled all over the concrete, it was left on. So you hear everything from afterwards, after they had drove me off. Okay. And my vehicle's just sitting there with the hazards on, and they're just sitting there cleaning up. And the whole time they're cleaning up, they're using semantics and placing things are inside my vehicle. Okay. Nice and neat in the way they want me to think about it. Okay. With the abuse of my Achilles, with the abuse of the taser. So they put the pen there. They put the sunglasses in my right boot, which is folded over towards the driver's side. I have a pair of boots, my NRS boots, and they're flipped, and the top of them kind of flip like this. They kind of sag to the left towards the driver's side. But he entered on the passenger side, okay? Most likely because that's where they were when I last seen them. And anyways, he drops them inside the boot. Okay, all of these semantics and stuff going on. Long story short, Laura Bachrock, Life Care Medical Transport in Virginia. I say you're sick. I'm not going to sit up front. I'm just going to sit in the back. So she starts going back and forth saying, no, you're not allowed to do that. And she wouldn't even move the ambulance until I got up there in the front passenger seat. She's telling me that she's not moving it. And then I told her like 3 times, I said, I'm not doing it. I'm not going up there. You're sick. I'm not doing that. And then she gets and turns it on, cranks it, and then starts speeding off. Just starts gunning it on because she's so irritated about this, about my choice. Okay. This is the stuff that I'm talking about. This is the stuff. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. I got so many examples that I could spend hours talking about this stuff. The abuse that I go through. Okay. The abuse. I'm just fed up with it. There's no reason for me to bring my best and then have thousands of people, including the nurses, undermine every little thing that I do and then be cyberstalked by some chump third party who's keeping tabs on me on every single call that I go through. And then is there to intercept my communication, turn off my phone, alter my phone data. And then whenever I'm actually writing things down, why would I go and help a society of thugs and terrorists, okay, who are literally terrorizing me, continue to do so after my injuries, okay, which I have a small tear in my left pectoral muscle, by the way, from the officers yanking and pulling on my fucking arms, okay? The whole time they're sitting there watching this SUV sitting there in gridlock directly in front of them to abuse me, okay? And they're very aware of everything, okay? And why am I going through all of this wear and tear and then having to act like I have to answer to someone? I have to answer to someone? Really? I have to answer. I have to defend myself. So let me get this straight. 10 years of making reports. Literally, probably 4 dozen plus reports. I can go through and count it all up. We're talking like 50 plus reports, 50 plus calls. That's 911 included. Okay. And 20 seconds, I have 20 seconds of being frantic and no one wants to hear it. No one wants to hear it. I'm just fed up with it. I'm just fed up. And then I got to sit here and act like I have to explain myself on every single application now. I have to explain myself on an application about my misdemeanor. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I'm not about to sit here and act like I have to fight over a bunch of terrorists and other applicants. I'm not doing that. Absolutely not doing that. And the thing about it is I'm going to show up on somewhere in the future, probably another job or something in EMS, and I don't want to be around these people. This is not the type of people that you want to be around. And I could say that, and I could say it because it's my experience. And it might not be experience for other people. Obviously, it's not. But it's like, why would I be around all of these terrorists and then lose sleep over it? It's a toxic job. And I don't mind doing it. I don't even see how people can get burnt out because I genuinely enjoy what I do. I'm leaving because I just genuinely hate being around the people that I have to work with. And then on top of that, you have patients. Okay, I can go on and on about that. You have patients who are abusing you. Literally, patients who are abusing you. You're doing them a favor. I know. So you have it from both aspects. People leave this occupation because they are burnt out over so many things, and the people and the patients, but really, this is on steroids. This shit doesn't stop when I leave. When I clock out, I think that's what I didn't understand enough was when I clock out and I go home, even though I was ran ragged and abused every single shift, every single fucking day I signed up, these terrorists are still driving around and harassing you when you leave. When you leave the ambulance service, okay? When I left jail and I was put on bond, these motherfuckers are still following you around. There is no just walking away. There is none of that. There is no go see a therapist. When you get out the therapist, these assholes, these terrorists are literally following you still. When you get out of class, they're following you still. Part of the reason why I was frantic on the 19th when I'm arrested is because days preceding, they're in my fucking driveway. They're in my driveway trying to startle me while I am walking through my yard. The Saturday preceding that, they're following me to my school. So you can't just go to school. You can't just go to work. You can't just go to the gym. It's everywhere. And in the gym, what they like to do, if there's anybody in any type of space, like a compartmentalized space, a building, for example, they know where you're looking somehow. I don't get that piece, but it's so attuned to your physiology that if I'm looking down like this, they will stage behind what type of exercises you're doing. So if I'm doing, like, for example, a bicep curl or some preacher curls, and I'm doing this, they're going to make sure to stage directly behind what it is that you're doing. Okay? So at all times, you're being activated and you're being stressed and disturbed at all times. And they're using either colors or they're using frequency or they're using proxemics. It's one or the other. And it's this nonstop inundation of disturbance. They have studies on studies on studies that noise pollution is caustic to your health. Noise pollution is caustic to your health. The psychological toll. Imagine the noise pollution and the visual pollution at all times. At all times. I can't go and work. I can't go out and just go and work because every time I go out to work, these red vehicles will show up. Every time I go out to work somewhere, or I just drive in general anywhere, I've got to have these fucking vehicles show up. And lately now, they're changing it up to black vehicles. I don't know why. But now it's black cars and black SUVs. But long story short, it's black vehicles. So they're altering, and I caught them altering up the rhythm or the pattern back in the early 90s and late 80s when I was leaving my house on my videos. I said, look, now here comes these gray trucks. And now we're back on gray and silver. And sure enough, I've caught them on this video camera. They're bringing in only gray or silver vehicles now. Okay, in conjunction sometimes with the white SUVs. But you can't just, so it's like I can't just go and work. I can't bring my best because I'm always disturbed. I don't want to be around people because every time they have a conversation, it's a conversation about my abuse or something pertaining into my circumstances or some type of gaslighting into the future. I just don't feel like dealing with it. I don't feel like dealing with it. There's nothing satisfying about going outside and being terrorized. There's nothing satisfying about it. It doesn't matter how bad or how ethical or moral you think it is and how high it is. It's just why? Why would you put yourself through that? So now I have to, so instead of, working a nice job, getting paid in the 70s, 80s, maybe even upper six figures, now I have to go and I have to deviate and go find something that's fucking reclusive and keeps me away from terrorists. That's what I have to do now. And that's most likely not going to be anything near six figures. It's not going to be anything near 70,000 or 80,000, nothing like that. Nothing of what I should be making. Okay? Out of the hard work that I've been doing for years. And guess what? I still fucking retest every 2 years. I still was terrorized and went through and retested every 2 years instead of accumulating CEUs like my peers. Okay? And I had my own EMS body trying to subvert and undermine my academic prowess by giving me a new format when it was touted, okay, and it was voiced that there would be an alteration in the test format in July of 2024 moving forward. And instead, I'm looking at their syllabus meeting minutes or whatever, committee minutes, committee schedule, and when I'm taking this new format, they're over there posting that the committee is meeting and making collaboration in other states about the new format and how we're going to be doing this, and it's all going to start in July. Meanwhile, while I'm sitting there beating my head on the table, getting abused by taking a new format that wasn't supposed to be there, I'm in there doing it while my cohorts are out there contemplating about how to get ready for it in July. And I'm taking it back in March. In March. Okay? They're over there all over the website. It's posted. Yeah, we got to change. We're changing the new format. We're dropping this. We're dropping the the psychomotor portion, and we're not doing this anymore, and all this other stuff. And they're over there posting committee minutes and meeting schedules in April, okay, and May about how they're going to be implementing this new format. And then they shove it in my face in March, and I pass it. And every 2 years preceding that, I pass that too, okay, by retaking by examination. Going through all of this abuse, okay? So I have a lot of potential to bring the best of the community. Instead, I just get terrorism. And the thing about it is knowledge is nothing if you can't use it. I'm just tired of not being able to use it. I'm fed up with it. And it's gotten me nowhere. Got me absolutely nowhere. So that's that. We're transitioning out of EMS. I'm just fed up with it. I'm not explaining myself. I'm not going to be going through these meetings with a bunch of HR people and act like I have to explain myself anymore. Absolutely not. I'm done with it. I'm not explaining myself to anybody, especially terrorists and thugs. So that's kind of where we're at. We're still being stalked. We're still being terrorized by vehicles. And then every time I go to a job, they want to make sure that, and the thing about it is I'm working a little side hustle right now. And the only time that people are giving me satisfaction, or I should say that they're happy, if you will, and not terrorizing me. And it's not even that. They're still terrorizing me. It's just that their demeanor, okay, and their whole smearing, all of a sudden they're just like, oh yeah, you're great at this job. You're great at this job. We love you. We love you. Yeah, it's basically minimum fucking wage. It's basically minimum fucking wage. You love me when I'm making minimum fucking wage, but when I'm supposed to be making 70, 80, 90, 6 figures, you absolutely have all of these things to say about me, which are not even true. You have all of these ways to smear me and abuse me. The second I'm making 70, 80, 90, 100 plus $1,000, all of a sudden it's an issue. He's an issue. We need him out of here. And they have no credibility whatsoever. They can't prove anything that's being said because I didn't do it to begin with. And I've got all this information countering what they're doing, including voice and video. And then they want to have some bullshit third party come through and erase that shit. Oh, but when he's making minimum wage, we love him. Or near it. We love him. Oh, we love him. We want him back. No, thank you. So we're just going to be getting out of this whole people thing, and we're going to be doing something else. And I've got to do this whole career shift because of terrorism, basically. I'm just fed up with it. There's all kinds of things I can say, but that's just what we're updating on Vlog 100. I also want to talk about a fishing trip that I went to back in, let's see, on the somewhere a few days ago, a couple days ago. I went there early, and there really wasn't a lot of terrorism going on because it was so early in the morning. It was pretty early, very early. I think it was actually 45 to an hour before sunrise. And I get back, and I actually accomplished something pretty cool out there. And I caught like a really beautiful big red-eye bass, had like orange, mango, caudal tail, peck tails, and anal fins. And I get to leaving, and when I'm leaving, all of a sudden, for about, I want to say a good 4 miles or so on the interstate, I was down 20, and down the interstate, all of these white SUVs show up in like 24 or more, and they just start taking turns driving around me everywhere. Just literally, I'm in like the middle of it, and they start taking turns driving. When I'm passing the on-ramps, they're coming on like this as I'm driving, and I'm video recording all of this on both my rear and forward-facing camera of my vehicle. And all of a sudden, maybe I start vocalizing license plates. I start saying, this is license plate, that license plate, so I can get it on camera. And I do this for about 5 minutes, and now all of a sudden, I'm just kind of looking at this and trying to vocalize things. And my front forward camera, which is brand new, I just got it maybe like 3.5 weeks ago. Actually, maybe a month. Yeah, 3.5 weeks ago. 3.5 weeks ago. Brand new. All of a sudden, it just turns off. My forward dash cam just turns off. Nothing. Just turns off. And my rear one is fine. And I'm getting these notifications that on both cameras that the SD card is too slow, okay? Which they're the ones that are given to you by the company, and they're also the right formats and the right speeds, because I've checked them all. And I know when they're tapping the dash cams remotely, right? Because they have Wi-Fi, and I've gone through this before, right? Anything that I have that's a Wi-Fi capable is always having issues. It's always being tapped. It's always being surveyed. It's always being hacked, right? But why would it turn off in the middle of this fucking terroristic road rage campaign? This exhibition of terrorism. Why would it turn off? There's no reason for it to turn off. It's a loop recorder. There's no reason for that thing to have turned off. Then yesterday, I go back to look at the footage, and everything from that day on the forward-facing camera, guess what? Gone. Gone.